Hi everyone, Cendril here, and welcome to my analysis and opinions of the Nintendo E3 press conference for 2016. Nintendo basically said, we have nothing to show at E3 this year except Legend of Zelda. And they put everything in the Legend of Zelda basket. Here's the new Legend of Zelda game, drool over it, we're Nintendo, and walk away. Like the person has just said, we're Nintendo, and then just walks away. And you can sit here and drool over the next Legend of Zelda game. But they actually did show one more thing on their Treehouse conference thing that they did for E3. They weren't actually at E3. They just did this online Treehouse thing. Or maybe they did have a booth at E3. I think they did have a booth at E3, and it was just nothing but Zelda. So, they started off by showing a trailer for Legend of Zelda, but we're not going to talk about that first. We're going to talk about what they showed after that, and then get back to Legend of Zelda. You'll see why, and I'll explain why. And why it's a really weird move to me, what they did. But they talked a little bit about Sun and Moon, which was, it comes out November 16th, the new Pokemon games. Showed off some gameplay. They showed off the starters, which people have already seen. It's in a tropical type setting, so that's different. A lot of people are wearing like, Hawaiian type shirts and, shorts or, short sleeve shirts, like stuff like that. It's in a tropical type setting. So that's interesting. I like that. It's different from what I've been told. If you don't know my history with Pokemon. The trainers, when you're battling, something that was pointed out was that they're actually on the screen. So it feels like you're there with your Pokemon while you're battling. It's probably a small touch, but I think it's neat. The camera angles change a lot while you're battling, just to give it kind of more of a cinematic, feeling to it while you're waiting to choose your abilities. Something that I think is useful for newer players, and they talked a lot to newer players with this. Which is everything they were doing. People that are, new to Pokemon or maybe haven't played in a few generations. Just to people that aren't super into Pokemon, like a lot of people are. You can tap on enemy Pokemon, and this will be useful to everybody. You can tap on enemy Pokemon in your Pokemon and see stat changes. So if you have like attack down, it'll show like a down arrow. Or like 3 down arrows if you've been hit by it a lot. Or up arrows if that stat is changed in a positive way. So it can help you keep track of just, kind of the status changes that have happened throughout the battle. I think that's pretty interesting. Could be useful. Showed a few new Pokemon as this gameplay demo guy was just like walking around through the tall grass and stuff. Yungoos, which was like a mongoose. And it had like a mean face. Because it was hungry. And that's what the person says. That's what the Pokedex entry type thing said. Was like, it's hungry, and it's mean when it's hungry. And it's hungry a lot. Like, okay. There's a new Pokedex. It looks like a starfish with like a robot merged with it. And like the screen is like in the middle of the starfish. It's weird. You have to see it. The cool thing about having the trainers on the screen is, when you have a Pokemon out, you get like a sense of scale. So like a Caterpie, which they show off, is like really tiny. Like probably smaller than you think compared to you. It's like just a small worm. And it'll be neat to see how different Pokemon, just like how big they are in comparison to the trainer. If they do a lot with that, I think that could be super neat. Then another new Pokemon showed up, Pikapeck. Something like that. It's a woodpecker Pokemon. It's a Pokemon that's a woodpecker. So there's that. The whole thing just kind of dragged out a little bit to me. Like, Pokemon is one of those games that maybe doesn't make the best demo, like, to show things off. But they showed off a new mode called Battle Royale. It's arena style. 4 players, that's right, 4, pick 3 Pokemon each, and it's a free-for-all. And who wins is determined by how many Pokemon you have left and how many you knocked out. And the battle ends when one person is out of Pokemon. Whoever has the most points at that point wins. I don't know. It sounds like it could be a super cool mode. I don't know what's gonna come of it. There's customizable outfits. The thing they wanted to push was that it has a whole bunch of new player-friendly things in it to help people that are new to Pokemon. Like, you can jump in with this one, and the game will help you out a lot. Which, that's really neat. A new generation of game players is probably growing up right now at, jumping into Pokemon for the first time. And this could be the game for them. So after they did Sun and Moon, they went back to Legend of Zelda and showed off a lot of gameplay of Zelda. So that's how it went. They showed off trailer for Zelda, Pokemon Sun and Moon gameplay, and then back to Zelda, and they just stayed at Zelda for the rest of the day. Here's my question. Most of the stuff they showed at Sun and Moon, from what I've gathered, most people had seen already, other than the 2 new Pokemon and Battle Royale. But you could have announced those some other point. Why did you break up Legend of Zelda? Like, that was the main thing you were here to do. It was the only thing you're doing was Legend of Zelda. And then you put the Sun and Moon gameplay kind of in the middle that just kind of broke it up really weird. I don't know. I don't agree with that decision at all. Like, you could have done Pokemon some other day. Or, because people had seen, like I said, most of this, they showed off the starters, but people have already seen the starters. So, they didn't add that much new information. And it just kind of dragged on a little bit. So, I don't know. Especially after Legend of Zelda. They show the trailer for Legend of Zelda, and now I need to buy an NX. Or more aptly, I need to convince one of my friends to buy an NX so I can borrow it and then play Legend of Zelda. Yes, it was that good. Like I said, you can just sit in front of the screen and drool if you're a Nintendo fan. This is what you want. You want this. You didn't even know you wanted this deep down, but you want this now. Yes, it's that good. I'm not exaggerating. So, they showed off Legend of Zelda in this trailer. They showed off that Link hang glides. That's neat. That he actually climbed things. Like a mountain, or a tree, or other stuff. He's climbing things. Finds an axe. That's neat. He cooks something. It's like, wait, what, cooking? Shows off that he wields a spear. And I'm just going back to the trailer. I'm like, the spear, that's cool. Shows him wearing different armor. I'm like, wait. And then, as many people know, if you don't know, this will be an open world Legend of Zelda game. And then it shows Link gathering resources. Hunting something, like he shoots a boar. It shows him gathering mushrooms and apples. And I'm just like, am I getting a... Now, it's not going to be anywhere near as, like, big. Maybe it will be. Who knows? But am I getting, like, an open-world experience, like a Skyrim or, like, a Far Cry type experience in my Zelda game? I want this. I want this now. Give me the game now. Because it looks like so much fun. So then, they actually go into gameplay. And that takes up the rest of their press conference time. Now, I watched a lot, because even after, like, the official E3 kind of press conference for them was over, on their webpage, they were playing just a bunch of Legend of Zelda. Like, that's all they did from that point on. They showed off a bunch of Legend of Zelda stuff. So, Wink wakes up at the start of the game with what seems to be Zelda speaking to him. That little bit of tradition stays, which I love. I love that nod. Like, that's great. And then the first thing that Link does when he wakes up, he's in his shorts, like his underwear, and he finds this thing called the Sheikah Slate. And it's interesting. It acts like a key card. It does so much more than that, but like a key card. Because he, like, puts it in this place, and it was like, it just said accessing, or like authorizing. So there's this mix between tech and fantasy, which could be very interesting in a Zelda game. Now, the Sheikah Slate does a whole bunch of stuff for you. It can, like, scan enemies and access your inventory and all that stuff. It's your menu and all that. And then he finds 2 treasure chests. Oh, that's neat. Yay, treasure chest. Opens it up. There is a, I believe it's like chest armor and then pants. I'm like, okay, great. Wait a minute. He just found armor. And it goes into an inventory. And it has armor ratings. Like I said, his pants give him, his armor goes from 0 to 2. I'm getting more RPG elements in my Legend of Zelda game? Why did this not happen sooner? I need this. You didn't know you needed it, but you need it. You want this. That's really cool. So you put on different armor sets. And yeah, they'll look different, but they'll also function differently. Link can jump. It has finally happened, ladies and gentlemen. After the decades that Link has been around, this iteration of Link has learned to jump. All enemies may now tremble in fear. Like, not just jump attack, like, I mean literally jump. You jump, you climb on things, you move around the world in a way that Link has never done before. This is really more of an open world experience. You need to take it like you're playing a Far Cry, you're playing a Skyrim, Oblivion, you're playing those, a Fallout, though not the settings, but like the gameplay type. That's what it's like. You're getting weapons, and the weapons have ratings as well. They have, do they do 3 damage, 5 damage, 2 damage, how much? They have numeral ratings as well, just like your armor. You gather stuff. Lots of gathering. How do you heal? You eat food. You eat like an apple. You eat some mushrooms that you picked. These mushrooms do not, like the joke was made, these mushrooms do not cause Link to grow larger, however. Wrong franchise. But, you eat them to regain your health. I forget which one it was. It wasn't Miyamoto. He showed up later. But it was like one of the creative directors said that, you will not find hearts in the grass. That's not how you heal in this game. You have to live off the land. You have to gather. And that's why he said that's why they called this Breath of the Wild. It's about the land. That's the big thing. This world. It's about this world. And you're gonna have to heal that way. You're gonna have to gather mushrooms or apples or food items. You're going to have to gather food. If you cook it, it works better. So you have to make fire. You make fire pits, chop down trees. And it's really neat for a Zelda game to be doing all of this. And from what it looked like so far, doing it well. He finds a tree branch, and it has a weapon rating of 2, so from 0 to 2. So, it's a weapon. It's not very good, but it's a weapon. It showed that there's a stamina meter. And I found out later that that's also kind of your breathing meter when you're swimming. Well, not your breathing meter, but just you have that stamina when you're swimming. If it runs out while you're swimming, guess what? You drown. Respawn, or however the system's going to work, reload your save, however it's going to work, somewhere else. But you have a stamina meter while you're climbing. Think like Shadow of Colossus style, though probably not to that degree of like climbing these big things. Who knows? But basically the stamina meter. And if it runs out while you're climbing, you fall down. There are items that you can get that increase your climbing. You get like an extra meter. There are potions you will be able to get, brew, make, that increase your stamina meter for a temporary amount of time as well. That's how you get extra hearts. Kind of think of like armor hearts. Or like, hearts that don't come back. They're temporary. That's how you get extra hearts. You make like a really good piece of food. Alright, now Link has 7 hearts for now. And then it gets chipped away back down to his 3. Are there going to be permanent heart upgrades? I don't know. They didn't talk about that. So, there's that. there's some physics type stuff in this game. If you push a rock down a hill, it will roll down the hill. If it smashes into an enemy, well, bye enemy. Or at least take damage. So that's neat. Goes a little further and meets an old man. Who, you get like a baked apple on the ground. And he like talks to you, gives you some information. Kind of like the old man in the first game. Gives you some information, but he gives you a sword. You don't get a sword here. He has a fire going. Took out his like tree branch, lit it on fire, and then like walked out to the grass, and the grass burned. So that's neat. So there's going to be things like that in the game you can do. Found an axe weapon, used it to chop down some trees. Then chopped down the log of the tree to make firewood, so he can like make his own your own fire, so you can cook stuff. It's just really the amount of stuff they showed. I didn't think they would show that much. Found a rusty broadsword in like a stone. And I was like, oh, that's neat. I know that's not going to be the Master Sword. Too early in the game. Game just started. But it was a rusty broadsword. Now, he fought some moblins, which, if you're a Zelda person, you know they're like, goblin-type enemies. But as he was swinging, he equipped the rusty broadsword because it had 5 attack power. I was like, okay, cool. Already upgrade. And as he was swinging and fighting these 3 moblins off, he like killed one, started hitting the other, and it said the broadsword was badly damaged in combat. I was like, huh, wonder what that means. Couple swings more, it broke. That's right, his weapon broke. You have limited inventory space for weapons, armor. Now you can still carry quite a bit. It's shields. I'm not sure about the armor. I don't know if the armor breaks, because I didn't see that. But I did see weapons break and shields break. So you have to find more or take the weapons enemies. The weapons enemies. The enemies' weapons. There we go. You have to use that. That's astounding. Like, I'm super excited to see how that all plays out. Okay, I have this 12 strength sword. Do I save it? When do I want to use it? How durable is it? Maybe it lasts longer. But I know eventually it's going to break. So you have to decide when and where you use things. And that's the whole name of the game here for this Zelda. It really is an open world game. The big thing that every Nintendo person that was interviewed, throughout the day said was that it's really important to take enemies' weapons and use them on the enemy. It's a big way to get weapons. I already talked about that you have to eat food to regain health. Link can use a spear. There are spears in the game. And you know how when you charge up a sword attack, you get the spin attack, the iconic spin attack of The Legend of Zelda? Well, the spear doesn't have a spin attack. You do a multiple quick stab when you charge up. So I'm wondering just how many different kinds of weapons there are in the game. And what, all you can do with them. Very interesting. I mean, this is far beyond any Legend of Zelda that you played. It's just it's going to be a completely new experience. I thought about you gather a bunch of things, you craft things maybe. They didn't show too much of that, but I assume you're going to craft things. What all you're going to craft, I don't know. They showed off a system called Flurry Rush, where, this is neat. If you dodge an enemy at perfect timing, you do a perfect dodge, like right before you get hit, you backflip or dodge out of the way. You initiate what's called a Flurry Rush, which basically time slows down and you just get to beat on an enemy for a couple of seconds. Do a lot of damage while time is slowed. There are bows in the game. They show off that you get a bow. The bows have stats. Found the first bow, went from 0 to 5. The bow can break. Use that bow a lot, it'll break. You'll have to find another bow, get another bow, maybe craft another bow, who knows. They didn't show that. Some cool things about the bow that was neat is that the arrow arcs if you shoot far away. So if you're shooting from a distance, you have to aim up. That way when gravity takes hold and the arc flies down, you still hit your target. I thought that was interesting. I thought it'd just be, a straight shot like it always is in a Zelda game. Nope. You're gonna have to practice with your bow a little bit. Showed off a couple of different arrows. Showed off a bomb arrow. I want a bomb arrow. And of course, shot it and then it exploded. Something that was really cool that one of the game players showed off is they jumped, because you can do that now. You can jump from like a higher place, from like a rock, jumped off of it, aimed the bow, and basically went into bullet time, Max Payne style. And while the lady that was playing was aiming the bow while she was in the air, time had slowed and she could like try to get this cool mid-air shot. That's awesome. You didn't think you'd ever see Link doing that, did you? Well, now it's happening. And again, you won it. You didn't think you did. You didn't think you needed it, and now you won it. The HUD is minimal. There is so little on the screen. You have your hearts, and you have, like, whenever you're near something, it'll, like, remind you to, like, press A to jump. Not, like, pull up the screen or anything. It'll just, like, the A pops up. That's pretty much it. The HUD, and I think maybe the mini-map shows up, but it's just a little bit of the screen. It's not a busy screen, which is beautiful for this kind of game. Just the HUD is very minimal, and it works really well. Yeah, there is. It's in the bottom right corner. Thinking of the minimap. There are a couple of other gauges there too to help you out. There is a temperature gauge. Yes, there's temperature. Temperature matters. If you go into a really cold place and you don't have cold resistance, like you have, something heavy as armor, like something, like a coat or something, or you don't have a special potion, you didn't brew a potion that gives you some cold resistance, Link is going to freeze, and he's going to start taking damage, and that's not good. Same thing for hot, I believe, is what I heard earlier. Like, you have to have some heat resistance, or when you go out to the desert, you're going to start taking damage from the heat. Again, just another new layer. There is a sound gauge. There is sneaking. You can, like, sneak up on an enemy. And you can see the sound gauge. If it's really big, you're making a lot of noise. If it's small, you're not making a lot of noise. You can sneak up on enemies. There's all kinds of possibilities for that. The demo that people that are lucky enough to be there and get to play for, they said, kind of 10 minutes is what I would guess, somewhere around there. They're stuck on this one plateau area where you start the game. Okay, that's neat. They zoom out the map. It makes up a pretty small portion of the map. in the kind of the middle. I'm like, okay, that's neat. Wow, this is a really big map. I'm okay with that. That's awesome. They said that plateau is 1% of the full game map. That is their claim. And man, I hope I can hold Nintendo to that. Because if that's true, we're going to be dumping a ton of hours into Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wind. And it will be a lot of fun. There is so much more that I'm sure they went over that I missed. Because I didn't get to catch all of it. And I know they showed off a lot of gameplay, but that's everything that I saw from the E3 press conference and more. I caught some of the extra stuff. Like I talked about cooking potions, you get some extra stats, like hearts, maybe even attack power, stuff like that. Like you can probably have like an attack potion or something. They talked about bombs. The one thing I know about bombs is you can trigger them remote style. Like they're remote bombs. So you like throw the bomb and then you choose when you detonate it. And there's like two types of bombs as well. There's a round bomb and a square bomb. And I assume that's for just how much physics you want. Like if you have the round ball, you can make it roll. The round bomb. You make it roll. And then explode it. Like there's probably some other things to do with that too. So there's my just about 20 minutes of Legend of Zelda. because that's all Nintendo showed just about, and then the little bit of Sun and Moon, which I just felt broke up all the great Legend of Zelda stuff that they were showing off. Like, you started off with Legend of Zelda, and I was already, okay, I'm in, show me more. Then they switched to Sun and Moon, and I just kind of tuned out. You know, I was like, I know I gotta make notes about this because it happened. But I'm like, I'm pretty sure people have seen all this already. Because I don't keep track of Pokemon, and I've seen the starters already. So, then they went back to Legend of Zelda and showed a whole bunch of awesome stuff. Just mind-blowing, all the stuff they're putting into this Legend of Zelda game that you would not expect in a Legend of Zelda game. And it's here now. Well, it's not here now, I wish it was. But, I mean, this is the Legend of Zelda game you're getting. And it's going to be new, it's going to be different. And from everything that I saw, if they keep on this path, it is going to be mind-blowing. Just period. There was one picture, too, that they showed. That Link, because I said you could put on different armor. Most of it was just like clothes. I saw one picture that just briefly flashed by the screen of this. He's fighting this big rock enemy. He was in full plate. Like elven full plate is kind of what it looked like to me. Because it's not super bulky or heavy. But it was plate. And I was like, yes! Because it looked awesome. So if you get to see that, it looked slick. If you get to see that picture while you're looking around. That's everything that I have for Legend of Zelda written down. I cannot sing the praises of Legend of Zelda more than I saw. And let me give you some history of Legend of Zelda. I have played every Legend of Zelda game that's been out there that I can think of. I probably missed one here or there, more than likely, but I played a lot of them. And Zelda is one of my favorite franchises, but they've lost me recently. Everybody loves Skyward Sword. I thought it was okay. There were some things about it that I just didn't really appeal to me, and I don't want to talk about it. And Twilight Princess, again, was okay. You know, they're not bad games by any stretch of the imagination, but I'm like, okay, you know, I feel like I've played something like this before. And this game, you know, I was like, okay, new Legend of Zelda. I'm going to temper my expectations because I don't know what I'm going to get. And we'll just go in there. So I was skeptical going in. And you've heard just how I sung the praises of this game from what little I've seen. It looks great. It looks fun. It's open world Legend of Zelda. With everything that comes with that. With gathering and crafting and cooking and having to find new weapons, new shields because they break. I'm sure the boss fights are going to be... They're always on a pretty good scale with Legend of Zelda. You fight these big bosses with the new jumping and climbing mechanic. Are they going to use that? How's the, you know, when you break weapons during boss fights, can you like maybe steal a weapon from a boss, you know, and use it in some way? There's so many possibilities with this game that I can't cover them all. If you have seen nothing on Breath of the Wild and you're a fan of Legend of Zelda at all, you owe it to yourself to look at some of this game because I think you'll be blown away just as much as I am. And there's going to be... This is just the tip of the iceberg from what they've said. This is just, you know, they're showing a small percentage of everything you will be doing in this game. Different dungeons you'll be going to. Different items you'll be getting, I'm sure. Like, this is just what they're willing to show. And I think that bodes extremely well for The Legend of Zelda. Alright, that's everything I have for Nintendo, because again, like I said, they just did the little bit of Sun and Moon, and then the rest of their E3 conference and everything else yesterday, because today's Wednesday, I'm making this, probably putting these out Wednesday, was Legend of Zelda. And I took as many notes of Legend of Zelda as I could that I was able to see. With that ends the E3 press conferences. Nintendo was the last one. But I'm going to have one more video for you that I am going to go over some of the big overarching topics that I saw from E3 just in general, and my opinions on those and what I see in my crystal ball for the future. If you enjoyed Legend of Zelda, or just me talking about the Nintendo press conference in general, please click the like button. That lets me know that you did enjoy it and you had some fun. You enjoyed my insights, my analysis, my opinions. And feel free to leave a comment saying if you liked it. And again, just click that like button for me. I would greatly appreciate it. And until the last video of this E3, where I just, again, talk about some of the overarching themes that I saw, I'm Cendril89. Remember to shoot for the stars and take care, everyone.